Splatoon 2 is the sequel to Nintendo's first paint-based post-apocalyptic third-person shooter Splatoon. While looking relatively similar, the good news is that Splatoon 2 takes what made the original fun and expands on it, as well as improving the parts I didn't enjoy in the first game. There is a surprising amount to do in Splatoon 2 compared to the original, and one of the biggest improvements comes in the game's single player. The first Splatoon I only bothered with the single player to unlock weapons, and stopped playing almost immediately after I had done so. Splatoon 2 has put a lot more effort into crafting these single player challenges, which force a mix of combat and platforming on small, tight levels to see the player to their goal. Players will often be asked to use specific weapons in which levels are designed around for their first playthrough, so they can also act as good tutorials before you hit the multiplayer aspect of the game. The most surprising aspect of these single-player games was the difficulty sometimes involved. Splatoon 2 is such a bright and cheery game with relatively friendly despite being competitive multiplayer, and so when I found myself having to replay levels after dying, sometimes multiple times, I was quietly amused and impressed by how hard the game could be. Difficulty, however, is not always a good thing, and there were times that I felt the game could present an unfair challenge or sudden spike compared to the rest of the level or area, making for frustrating and unexpected challenges rather than a natural progressive curve. Splatoon 2's multiplayer comes in a few different flavors, but by far the most prevalent are the regular turf wars. These familiar team-based battles see the player trying to ink as much of the stage as possible while also taking out members of the opposing team. The games are fun and fast, only lasting 3 minutes each in total, and the range of weapons and playstyles allow for those who aren't exactly pros at shooters to still be effective. At the end of each match, participants can view their stats, including how many kills they managed and, more importantly, the amount of turf inked compared to everyone else. Players are also granted experience and currency, which allows them to purchase new weapons or clothing which can come with different boosted stats. Then you can choose to queue up for a brand new game, and while you may occasionally find yourself matched with some of the same players, this tends to keep matches fair rather than one-sided. Perhaps the only real failing is that loadouts cannot be changed while in this lobby area, so to change or purchase weapons or clothes, you have to leave the queue completely. Once leveled up enough through regular matches, players can choose to join in on ranked competitions. Ranked varies from the usual turf war, coming in 3 different types of game. The most similar would be the Splat Zone, which is essentially a King of the Hill mode, so instead of inking the entire map, a section of the map will be the focus of ink domination. Tower control sees players pushing a vehicle into enemy territory, which is reminiscent of the Overwatch-style payload mechanics, and Rainmaker involves carrying a weapon into the enemy base to unleash bright-coloured hell. Ranking high enough in any of these battles will allow players to compete in the 2-hour-long league matches for some elite competition. Again, all of this is not dissimilar to Splatoon 1, but there's enough polish and added features to make it a worthwhile upgrade. The biggest addition, in my opinion, I've saved for last, and that's the new Salmon Run mode. Salmon Run allows a team of 4 to participate in Horde mode style PvE battles, which pit the colourful inklings up against waves of dull salmonids. The battles take place on a boat where players must work as a team to defeat salmonids and the various bosses to collect eggs for their mysterious bear statue employer. Waves increase in difficulty as the player levels up, and the game keeps with the Splatoon style of small bite-sized pieces of gameplay by making these runs only a few levels at a time. Salmon runs are incredibly fun and can get very intense. There is also a surprising visual overhaul that Splatoon 2 has almost snuck in over its predecessor. I remember honestly thinking that it looked almost identical in preview versions of the game, but now that I have it on my TV at home to inspect, there's so much more involved in how this game looks. Characters are fantastically bright, with a huge variety of kits to distinguish them from others, and conversely modes like Salmon Run and the single-player adventure show off how dark and gritty other aspects of the game can be. The juxtapositioning really brings to life how colourful the Splatoon world is, and made me notice other little changes, like the way the ink now sparkles and how fantastically sloshy it is when you run and jump through it. The 2 new idols, Marina and Pearl, are also prime examples of the visual improvements in Splatoon 2, with so much detail going into the aesthetic and animation of these new characters. These impressive visuals are also potentially the cause of one of my only gripes about this game. Fantastically, Splatoon 2 is locked into a rock-solid 60 frames the entire time it plays, and never have I noticed the game skipping a beat. This is definitely a positive from most angles, but I believe that Nintendo's dedication to making this game as stunning as it is has also cut out the ability for couch co-op. The Switch is such a great console for cooperative same-system play, and the omission of this as an option, even just in modes like Salmon Run, really feels like a missed opportunity for more great ways to experience the game. This is also partnered with Nintendo's odd decision to put most of the group controls through its new Nintendo Switch Online app, which feels like another barrier towards playing with friends. Splatnet 2, which features as a subsection of the Nintendo Switch Online app, is however not all bad. Players can view their stats for the last 50 games, including who won or lost, who was on which team, and what loadouts they were using. The app also lets you see which maps are currently available for play, if new clothes are available for purchase, and whether or not Salmon Run is available, all without turning on your Switch. All of these features feel like a useful addition, but time will tell if this is a viable solution for teaming up with friends and voice chat. Splatoon 2 is loaded with Nintendo charm. From colourful inklings to the silly enemies, it really feels like a true sequel in that everything the original Splatoon did well has been preserved and improved upon, and where it was let down has been picked back up. It's bright and pretty with clever design and a surprising amount of sass and heaps to do, which is perhaps the biggest letdown of Splatoon 1. The only real downside is the lack of couch co-op, and perhaps the same playstyle of ink the turf, kill the enemies may get a bit boring for those looking for something a bit deeper. In its heart, Splatoon 2 is a team-based shooter and feels like a very solid one at that. The extra modes are icing, or ink, on the cake to give players more to do, and the execution is fantastic from the fun modes and quirky music right down to the glitter in the paint. And that's why we've given it 4.3 stars out of 5. For more content, make sure to check out our website at stickytrigger.com and like and subscribe to our YouTube page for more video reviews.